Hi everyone, this is Dr. Neha Khorke and welcome to the very first case of homeopathic cases with Zomeo. This is like a case discussion that we are going to be having every week in which I will show you the simplest to the most complicated cases solved with Zomeo and the patient becoming better, the follow-ups showing us how well the patient is, how he has improved with the remedies, what are the learnings that we can take away from every case discussion that we have, what all points do we need to consider in our totality, or what are the points that we need to consider when we are prescribing for a patient or repertorizing for a patient, as well as how we can convert each symptom into a rubric and search it through Homepath is what we are going to learn through these case discussions. So let us now start with our very first case of learning disorders. The first case is a case of learning disorders in a 4-year-old child. We'll go through the case once and after that we'll talk about how we can resolve the case using Homepath Zomeo within just a few minutes and very easily. Let's start. Our first case is a case of dyslexia. Master A.K., a 4-year-old boy. His mother came to us with him and she complained that he was slow in academics. Of course, as a 4-year-old child, we would not consider academics, so we began to ask her what exactly she meant by that. She said he was forgetful, he was making mistakes while writing and pronouncing words. He was slow in learning new words. Confused his cousins with his aunts. Cannot differentiate colors or alphabets, which for his age is atypical. Very slow at learning alphabets and colors. Remembers songs and stories but forgets old things and things that he has learned before. Speaks too fast and tends to skip words. His birth weight was 8 pounds. It was a normal delivery. Although he started walking on time at 12 months of age, his talking was delayed. He began speaking only after 2 years of age. He was teething by 8 months. Another important fact in the birth history was that the mother had 2 daughters and wanted a son, so an amniocentesis was done to check whether the child was a boy or a girl. Now with regards to the personal history of this baby. His appetite was good and he is fond of food. Thirst is 7 to 8 glasses per day, which is very good for a child. He had craving for dal or lentils, non-vegetarian food and curd or yogurt. There were no complaints in urination or during bowel movements. Perspiration was scanty. Sleep is good. Thermals, now from what we see, his thermals seem like chilly because he likes fan and mild AC, needs covering throughout the year and bathes with hot water throughout the year. So this makes him towards a chilly patient. He doesn't like sunlight and starts complaining that his head is paining. Looking at his life situation and mental history, he cannot sit in one place even for 2 minutes. There is a lot of restlessness. There is a lot of suppressed anger. He is fond of sports or playing games and is good at them. However, confidence is low. Mixes with people depending on his mood. Generally affectionate towards people he knows, especially children. Prefers being alone and his moods cannot be predicted. They keep changing. Shares his possessions and has a good relationship with his elder sisters. He is very afraid of the dark. He is extremely shy. When told to greet people, he hides behind curtains. This is an extremely characteristic symptom, I would say. Now, there was something odd on clinical examination. This is not something that his mother complained of, but something that we found, that his tonsils were enlarged. And when the mother was informed about this, she replied saying that he had been having this on and off since the past 2 years. So since this child was 2 years of age, he had complaints of tonsillitis. And he has been given antibiotics 3 times for this. However, they just keep coming back. On inquiring about the pain, the child says there is no pain now. Nose, right nostril slightly congested. Face, there are dark rings under the eyes. Nails, there are white spots on the nails. Now, white spots on the nails are a sign usually of zinc deficiency. Now, what do we do about the diagnosis? Here, we specifically diagnose this child as having dyslexia. Learning disorders is a spectrum and it has a lot of symptoms like dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia. Dyscalculia is when the child is unable to do mathematical equations well. Dysgraphia is when he makes mistakes in writing, in shaping words or letters. And dyspraxia is a dysfunction in motor skills. But this child had more of dyslexia. Right now, since he also makes mistakes in writing, for a 4-year-old, we would not consider that as very important because for a 4-year-old, writing is not a major milestone. What is a major milestone is learning and understanding basic things. So we diagnose this child as having dyslexia. Now, what do we do about the totality? When we say totality, what do we mean? We mean a consideration of everything or all the characteristic symptoms that a patient presents to us. It needs to be a logical harmony that covers the mental as well as the physical aspects of this child. Now, based on the history that we have seen, these are the symptoms that we considered in the totality for this child. We have also given the reasons why each symptom has been taken. So the first symptom we see is forgetfulness. Why forgetfulness? Because that is the chief complaint for which the mother of this patient walked in. The second symptom we took is shy, hides behind curtains. Now this is an extreme type of a shyness, which is why we have taken this in our totality. The third is the intense amount of physical restlessness that this child showed. Moods cannot be predicted, again based on the intensity of the symptom. The next symptom we took is that the child is extremely affectionate because this is a characteristic attribute of this child. Likes being alone. For a child, this is an extremely peculiar symptom. Then we took that there was a recurrent swelling of tonsils because this is a characteristic pathology which does not leave the child and keeps coming back. And the last that we took was headache in the sun. Again, a characteristic reaction to natural elements. So I'll repeat the totality again. Forgetfulness, shy, hides behind curtains, physical restlessness, moods cannot be predicted, affectionate child, likes being alone, recurrent swelling of tonsils, and headache in the sun. Now let us remember that these are symptoms that we have just picked up from the case history. We still have a big step before we go on to repertorization, and that is how we convert each of these symptoms into rubrics. I will show you how. So forgetfulness is a rubric that can be directly converted into mind forgetful. Since it is a mental symptom, we have to look in the chapter of the mind for this rubric. So mind forgetful. Shy hides behind curtains. What we have taken is bashful. This is an extreme form of shyness. So just timidity or shyness will not do. We have to go to bashful. Restlessness, physical, is a generality, which is why we have taken this rubric from the generalities chapter. Moods cannot be predicted is converted into rubric form as changeable moods. So the rubric is mood changeable variable. Affectionate can be directly converted into the rubric affectionate seen in the mind chapter. Likes to be alone. Now this rubric is found under company aversion to, solitude desire for. Solitude means being alone. Swelling tonsils of recurrent. This is a direct rubric that we found in Balbir Singh's repertory from Homepath, and the rubric's name is recurrent tonsillitis. And the last would be headache in the sun, and the converting rubric is pain, headache, sun exposure to aggravates. Now we have found all of these rubrics. What we now have to do is repertorize this in Homepath, and I will show you how we can arrive at the final remedy. Let's start. So this is my repertory screen of Homepath. I will be showing you how we can record the rubrics in Homepath using different ways of repertorization. Yes, there are different ways in which you can record rubrics in Homepath. Now, different physicians have different preferences and different ways of working. So you can use any way that you like, or you could use a mix, which I'm about to do right now. Let's start with the first one, which is forgetfulness. We'll go the simplest way, the classic way to record this rubric. Let's go to Kent. So on the left hand side, what you can see are the different repertories that we have. I will select Kent, and from Kent, I will select the mind chapter, which is anyway open by default. Now what I have to do is record the rubric. To record this rubric, the first way I can do it is through level search. Remember, through level search, I need to know exactly where the rubric is. So I will click on search and then click on level search. Under level search, I will type FORGET, and the moment I type this word forget, I directly jump to the rubric forgetful in the Kent chapter. What I have to do is just check this box and this rubric is now recorded. Very simple. Let's record one more rubric. The other rubric that we need to record is timidity bashful. Now here I'll show you a different way within the same screen. Suppose I am not sure where this rubric is present, whether it is on the second level, third level or fourth level. All I have to do is just start typing the keyword. I will type bashful, B-A-S-H, and I'm directly seen to jump towards bashful. However, I also get two search options. The first is timidity bashful and the second is bashful, which has 0 remedies and which shows me a cross reference to timidity. Let me jump to timidity bashful, and here I have 34 remedies. This is my rubric that I need to record, and now I will record bashful. It's very easy to record using this particular feature. Let's record one more rubric using the level search. This time we'll record physical restlessness. For that, we'll have to move in to the generalities chapter. And this time let's take up the complete chapter or the complete repertory. Let me type in directly the name of the chapter, which is generalities, and I get references to those repertories that have this chapter in them. I would like to select the generalities chapter from the complete repertory. It is already selected here by default. Now all I have to do is start typing physical restlessness. So Let me start typing directly. Restlessness. Now, I have directly jumped to this rubric, restlessness physical. I will now select this rubric. So within a span of 1 minute, I have already recorded 3 rubrics. Now I'll show you another way in which we can record rubrics, and this is a much quicker way than the level search or the internal search. Let's go to Quick Symptom Record. Quick Symptom Record is a feature that we have which has been specially made for those homeopaths who are just starting out in their practice. I can understand that converting a symptom into a rubric is not an easy task. So for those of you who find this a little difficult, or for those of you who just want to save time, this is an extremely handy function. What you see on the left hand side are chapters that we have listed out in simple words of the patient. What you have to do is just type the symptoms and you can directly jump to the reference. Now, I will show you this particular feature by recording 2 rubrics. The first one is mood changeable and the second one is affectionate. Let's start just directly typing changeable here. I go to enter and now I see all the references that I have for changeable. What I need is this reference, which is mood swings or changeable moods. Against this symptom, I have a lot of rubrics that have been linked. I can choose any 1, 2, 3 or even all the rubrics that I want to record in my patient. However, for now, for my patient, I will record the first rubric, which has the maximum number of remedies. That is, mood changeable variable from the mind chapter of the complete repertory. I check this box and my rubric has been recorded. The other rubric or the other symptom that I want to record is affectionate. Again, here I just start typing affectionate. And here I have now the direct reference for affectionate. Again, I will record this rubric from the complete repertory. So this is how I have recorded using the quick symptom record of Homepath. Let me go on to the other way in which we can record rubrics. If you have kept a note of the totality, and I hope you have, the next rubric that we need to record is desire for solitude. Now, the repertory search is just like your Google or Yahoo search engine, in which you just put in certain keywords and you get the search results. The main advantage of this feature is that you don't have to enter any particular repertory. You don't have to know exactly where this symptom is. All you have to do is just record it. So what I'll do is just do Command S and I will start recording, or I will start typing rather, solitude desire. And these are the references that I get. From the references, I'm going to select the first one. Company aversion to, solitude desire for. This is the perfect rubric for my patient. The other rubric that I want to record is recurrent tonsillitis. Now I'm unsure whether I'm going to get this particular rubric, but I will still search for it. So recurrent tonsillitis. And I get only one reference, and that is there in Balbir Singh's repertory. I have recorded it. It has 6 remedies against it. Suppose I just want to see which are the remedies. I click on the rubric and here I can see all the remedies that have been recorded under it. Alright, my last rubric that I need to record is sun aggravation and leading to headache. Now before that, let me show you the repertorization sheet. Here on the left hand side, I can see that I have already recorded 7 rubrics. I click on that and here I see my repertorization sheet. The final rubric that we need to record is headache, sun aggravation, and here is where I am going to show you the final and the easiest way in which I can record the rubric, and that is quick repertorization. The advantage in quick repertorization is I just have to type in the keywords and press enter. When I do that, the rubric automatically gets recorded in the sheet. When I say the rubric, it means the most relevant rubric that has been linked to the keywords that I have searched for. So I will type in headache, sun, aggravates, enter, and the rubric that has been recorded is pain, headache, sun exposure to aggravates from the head chapter of complete repertory having 98 remedies. Now this is my final repertorization sheet. 8 rubrics that have been recorded, and now I have finally have 778 remedies. Now there are two ways in which I can look at this list. All right. The first way is based on the totality, which means the remedy that covers the maximum gradations is displayed first. So here pulsatilla comes first because it has 23 marks, followed by Baraita which has 21, and then aconite, belladonna, natrum mur that have 19 each. But if I would like to see which is the remedy that covers all the or the maximum amount of symptoms or the maximum rubrics, I'll click on symptoms covered, and now my list, if you see, has rearranged itself to show that Baraita covers the maximum number of rubrics, followed by Pulsatilla ignatia nupsvomica. I am still unsure as to which remedy I should finally prescribe for this patient. Although Baraita carb is covering all the rubrics, I would still like to be sure, because finally I see more than 700 remedies in this repertorization sheet. So what I need to do now is apply filters, and these filters are going to help me refine or drill down the list to a minimum number of remedies, and this will help me finally make the prescription. Here I see different filters. Now I will take the filter that I find very, very useful, the most useful in fact, which is the remedy property filter. Now this remedy property filter has certain parameters. I just have to select those parameters, and based on that, the final list that I will see will only be those remedies that cover those important parameters. So now if you recall the case, let us see what are the parameters that we want. The first is that it is a chronic stage of disease. So we need a remedy that will be that deep acting at the chronic level. The second, we know that the thermal state of this child is chilly. So I mark chilly. I also mark, if I want, the miasm. Now in this child, we see syphilitic manifestations, we see soric manifestations. So a sorosyphilitic constitution. However, we also know that the tonsillitis is recurrent. And so for any kind of a recurrent conditions, especially those involving glands, we think of the tubercular miasm. Tubercular miasm has both soric as well as syphilitic manifestations. So we will mark the miasm as tubercular. We need a remedy that will hit the tubercular miasmatic soil of this child. And the last filter that we'll consider is that it is a child for whom we are looking for a remedy. So the 4 parameters that we have selected are, let me repeat, chronic stage of the disease, chilly patient, tubercular miasm, and for a child. I will apply those filters, and now the list has drilled down to just 27 remedies. Again, Baraita carb tops this list of remedies. Still, if I am a very conscientious physician, and I am, I still want to refine my list of remedies and ensure that I'm giving the right remedy to the patient. So I will apply another filter here, which is the cross repertorization filter. Now, the cross repertorization filter here is very useful because I now want to see in every patient, in the totality that we see, there are certain rubrics or symptoms that the physician considers most important for the patient, without which you cannot prescribe for this patient. So for me, there are certain rubrics that have to be included in the final remedy for this patient just because the symptoms are so strong in the child and manifest the miasmatic evolution as well as the personality of the child. So I would like to see those remedies that have the rubrics forgetful, timidity bashful, and recurrent tonsillitis. These for me are the three most important rubrics or most important symptoms for this patient. I want to see those remedies that are there in all three of them. And now I click on apply. Look, I have finally got just one remedy from the 770 plus remedies that I had. And that remedy is Baraitacab. So now I am absolutely sure that my prescription is Baraitacab. But I still want to confirm further. Now, if I want to confirm further, even after repertorization is done, you will naturally fall back on the materia medica books that are written by stalwarts, contemporary as well as old, to see whether those symptoms or rubrics are genuinely covered in the provings of this remedy. The first thing that I would like to do is see whether these symptoms are there in the keynotes of Baraitacab. And for that, I will just let me right click on Baraitacab and I will click on keynotes. And now I can see what are the keynotes. The first thing that jumps out is the physiological action of Baraitacab, which is lymphatic glandular system, hypertrophy, atrophy. Above that, we can see chronic occlusive tonsillitis. So we can see, yes, that we are heading in the right direction. Let us jump to something more specific. Let's go to the mind keynotes. Okay, the very first symptom that you see is extreme shyness. Bashful, cowardly, child hides behind mother. In our case, he is hiding behind curtains, but it generally means something similar. It denotes the intensity of the symptom of the patient. Aversion to strangers, childish behavior, lack of self-confidence, everything that we have seen, slow learning to talk and walk. So it's like I'm reading my patient's materia medica here. Okay, let's go to another section. Let's go to the confirmatory. Yes, chilly patient, tendency to catch cold easily, always have swollen tonsils. So we know that Baraitacab is the remedy for us. Let's still confirm this from another source book. Right click, let me see what reference books are there, and let me go to Concise Materia Medica of Homeopathic Remedies by Dr. Fatak. Now in this also, if you see the mind, okay, shy of strangers, bad memory, beclouded mind, mental weakness, hides behind furniture, loss of self-confidence. Yes, we have the right remedy with us. In throat, tonsils affected by every cold or worse menses, chronic quinsy, enlarged tonsils. Yes, this is our perfect remedy. So we will now prescribe Baraitacab for this patient. Okay. So what we did was, based on Homepath, the final remedy that we arrived at has been Baraitacab. So now let's see what happened to this child after we prescribed Baraitacab for him. Okay, I will show you quickly how we can prescribe Baraitacab for this patient. So what I did was, now I'm saving this patient I can just save him on his first name. All right. And now I will go on to prescribing Baraita-Carb. I will right click on Baraita-Carb and just hit prescribe. So now I need to just prescribe this remedy. This is the information that I will enter in the patient management system. So tomorrow when I come when the patient comes for a follow-up rather, I have all the information readily available with me with regards to Baraita-Carb and how it has been prescribed. Okay, so for the complaint of forgetfulness, tonsillitis, I prescribe the remedy Baraita-Carb. Okay, I prescribe it as 7 powders, repetition 1 OD, that is once a day in the 30C potency. I will be prescribing this for a week, and this is a chronic type of prescription. So now this remedy has been prescribed successfully. If I want to see where this remedy has been prescribed, I just have to go in follow-up, and here I can see that the remedy that has been prescribed today is Baraita-Carb. Okay, so with regards to the treatment, we started this patient with Baraita-Carb, 7 powders, 1 powder every day, and SL was given for 15 days. Now this is the first follow-up that he came up with after 15 days. Mother said that speech has started becoming clearer. He speaks comparatively at a slower speed. Restlessness, marginally better, not much. Tonsils, still enlarged. So we repeated the prescription for another 15 days. After that, the next follow-up showed more improvement in speech. Improvement in concentration now started by 20%, which is good. Restlessness was better by 20%. However, the child complained of slight pain in the throat 2 days back. Okay. On examination, tonsils were still enlarged. However, there were no pus pockets. So again, the prescription was repeated for 15 days. The next follow-up he came, there were no major changes in the symptoms. There was no major improvement, which is why the potency was increased. So whenever improvement stops, what we tend to do is now we increase the potency. And now he was given just 2 powders of Baraita-Carb 200 to be taken once in a week and SL for 15 days. The next follow-up that he came in with, the mother was extremely happy because she said that he has started remembering alphabets, numbers, colors. Restlessness has improved drastically. Concentration has improved very well. His teacher also said that the concentration has become better and tonsils has started reducing in size. We repeated Baraita-Carb again once a week, 1 powder each with SL for 7 days. Now, what is the learning that we get from this case? The first is that the earlier the treatment is begun in learning disorders, the quicker and more encouraging are the results. Okay, because later there are other complications that start to come in. There are other symptoms that start to come. Like I mentioned before, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, dyspraxia. And although improvement can be seen with our remedies, the improvement is quite gentle. It is quite slow because there has been a long time in which the patient has suffered from this ailment, which is why it takes a bit of a time to undo all of this that has happened. In a younger child, because their immunity is better, because their constitution is still untouched by most of the elements, natural environmental elements, They are comparatively free of a lot of conditioning effects. Because of that, the response that they show to homeopathic medicines is faster and much better. Although mental symptoms are key in deciding the simillimum, the physical symptoms and especially the pathology of chronic tonsillitis helped us to point towards the right remedy. Not just to point towards the right remedy, but even to the right miasmatic evolution that we saw. The tonsillitis, the mental factors, the physical factors play a key role. Improvement followed in Herring's direction of cure. The oldest symptom of tonsillitis began to improve last, while the newer symptoms improved first. Another thing that I would like to add, again, following Herring's direction of cure, is that the physical complaints improved last, whereas the mental spherical complaints improved first. And that is how we know that we progressed in the right direction and the patient became better with the right medicines. So this is the end of the case discussion that we have had for learning disorders. I hope you have all found it extremely informative and you have a lot of takeaway from this Zomeo Classroom lecture. And I will see you again with yet another case discussion next week. Thank you and take care.